Good morning, everyone. Can I get a mic check?
Good morning, everyone. Can I get a mic check?
And an echo check? got, got the echo every time. How we doing? I got a fresh cup of coffee. I'm ready to rock and roll. Morning. How has the morning been? Man, have we had one heck of a nasty little sell-off, huh? Especially in the SPY. Um, that thing was just weak, weak, weak. In fact, it was so weak, I kept looking for a spot to catch a sniper 2.0 to catch a little bit of that down move, and it just wouldn't give us any love. Because there wasn't like a little bounce, to kind of create a momentum switch. We just opened and said, "See you later." And so, if you were in the room today on the snipers, we we uh, took two snipers, right? So you can see here. Ignore this third one because that was one I took without putting it into chat. We took this first one as it looked like we were maybe going to bottom in this area here. And we did get a little bit of a bounce, but immediately rolled over and stopped out. And, so I lost 15% there, right? But that's okay. I'm taking hits at levels that I think are going to be good levels. And then, so that was on a 3 minute sniper, right? And then I waited and I waited, and then on a 5 minute sniper, right, as we were rounding and making this bottom, right, we hit that, and I hit that for around 50%. Because I waited here. We got a trigger on the 5 minute, which I can show you a little bit here in a little bit. And then as soon as we got that move up, I moved my stop to break even, right? So that this was a free trade, and I took it off into this pop up. So we had one took one shot and missed, took a second shot and hit a winner. And because the winner was significantly bigger than the loser, we're up 35% on the day. Does that make sense? And here on this little roll off of VWAP, I made a quick little hit and then moved my stop to zero. I did not announce that one in the room because it was kind of it was a little bit more of a risky, although we've been so weak, right, this way today, that I thought, and I did get a little bit here, but I thought a move back into VWAP would then create a little bit more of a rollover. And so once I got a little bit of profit, I moved my stop to break even, and then we kind of held here, and it just took me out. So that's a 0% winner, right? And if you were in the lesson yesterday on snipers, and we talked about setting up your bracket orders, right? We uh, on the Thinkorswim, you can set up a bracket order with a 25% profit target and a 15% stop target. And as soon as you put the trade on, right? As soon as you put that trade on, it brackets those orders in that are other one cancels the other, and then as you get into profit, you can just grab and slide that stop loss up to zero. And in the case of this jump, and I've earned the right to because I trade these a lot, is at the same time this move started moving this way, and I moved my stop loss up to break even, right? I looked at the ticks, right? And the ticks were up around 900, right? So I popped over here. and we were moving up into 900. And so, because of that, and because we had also moved from a sniper 1.0 into a sniper 2.0, I grabbed my profit target and also slid that up to the 50% mark versus the 25% mark. So, but that's just experience in trading these and watching the VIX. Does that make sense? Yeah. So three sniper 1.0s, which is a reversal. I missed on one. That's okay. I wasn't deterred. I caught the second one, and then I played a third one that I didn't put in chat because it was a little bit more risky. And we were already up 35% in the room if you had done both of those. And so that was just a break even trade. It went the way I wanted it to, but it didn't go far enough. Yeah, Bobby, I'm actually glad that I put that into chat as well, as I continue to refine how I alert these trades. Moving that stop loss to zero is a great way to protect profits. So, Miller Time, I did a long video on this yesterday that you can find on YouTube if you want a much longer explanation of what the sniper trade is and what indicators they are. And I can, if you want, I can pull that and post the video. John put in the link to the YouTube, if you want to go. It was yesterday's September 10th, session number one. Session number one. Peter, this is my room. I am in here with Nate and D-Man. D-Man and myself come on and teach, and we also post trades in the chat and or on the mic when we happen to be on the mic. But we don't put our trades in the official trades tab. Those are just Nate Bears. So let me see here. Real quick. Let me see if I can find that sniper video from yesterday, and I'll post it in here. Right now, I'm just watching for another setup, and there's not much. Session one. Hold on, let me put this in here.
Some of the sniper trade.
God, I hate hearing myself come on the mic all of a sudden. This is the sniper training. Whoops. Can't spell. DPL. Now, I just saw on TradingView, here is a internals chart with the ticks, the VIX, and the ADD all on the same chart. And I'm happy to share that with you if you want that. I just usually put it up in as you can see my tabs here at the top. It's always, I keep it as the last tab so that I can check the internals quickly. If you wanted to, you could put it up on a second, or a third monitor somewhere, so you're always looking at it. But it's already pre-created. So here's your internals chart. There you go. Remember, when you open it, it'll open in a window, and then you have to go up here and save it as whatever you want to call it. So then it's part of your chart setups. If you just open it, it is a non-editable file until you save it. I forgot to put my sound on. Oh, you should just be able to click on that link if you have TradingView, and it should just open as a file in TradingView. Nice, Trader G. Well done. When you go to add the tick chart to your watch list, in TradingView, can you add it to a watch list? Yeah, it seems like it adds for me. And then if I just click over like that. Yeah, it doesn't look like Nate's because here's the thing. We've drawn in the 900, the 600, the 0, the negative 600, the 900. Those have been, you know, those have been drawn in, pre-drawn in already. And we have it set to a 1 minute or a 2 minute chart, right? That should actually probably be a 2 minute chart. So, if you want, that's what, I just shared, that that'll give you that chart with those lines in there. So you can watch the internals as well. Berserk, you've got everything on there, huh? Love that. I did just share that tick chart just above in chat. If you scroll up, you should be able to find it. What two lines? The 900 and the 600. Is that what you're talking about, or are you talking about this EMA line? Or sorry, it's an SMA. Yeah, it's a SMA line. It's just 21. It's just showing the average of what it's been doing. Just kind of giving you an idea of trend. Right now it's trending up. Right now it's trending down. It's not really as important as where the ticks currently sit. Yeah. And I have alerts, as you can see. There's a little alert there. A little bell will go off when we cross plus 600 and when we cross minus 600. Just so I know, I can hear it, right, as I'm trading. If I'm looking at charts on another, if I'm in here and I'm like, okay, I'm looking for this trade, when's the right time, and I hear the bell go off, that tells me, and I'm starting to see some buying. That tells me that our tick chart is up above 600, and it's just a good indicator that buying is coming in and or selling. By the way, it works to both sides if I'm playing a call or a put, right? Here I played two calls, right? And then here I played a put on this roll. Anybody have any questions on that? And I'm just going to be watching these charts today. What I'm trying to do is focus a little bit more this week on the sniper trades versus other trading, and trying to be clear in posting those into the room, so that those of you who want to learn that can have a clearer idea of how to trade those. So I also do a lot of TPS trading. We went through and we marked up some charts yesterday. KView, we marked that up. If I didn't get in this, but if you were in this when we were marking it up or trying to take it off these lows, obviously this broke down, so it would have been a stop out if you took it, right? The other one we marked up was Kava, right? We marked Kava on the 78 minute. That one is holding strong. It hasn't really ripped yet, but that trade is still in play and looks great, right? Nice win for Nate on Nvidia. Right, so I do some of these TPS trades. I was watching IBM this morning on this poll. Kind of wishing I would have gotten into that. Nice fog, well done. Love that. Love that. You're getting a feel for these. I love that. What are the subtle differences and what it would look like here if it's not an open house? The only subtle difference is um, we are on the mic. There are times during the day when no one is on the mic, but all three of us are generally on the mic at least once. Sometimes Nate, sometimes most times twice a day. Nate Bear, but the kind of trading that we're doing and calling out of trades and so forth is exactly the same as it would be every single day in here when the market's open. Fog is, well, let me ask you this. Let me go back to KView. Okay, so we set this trade up on the 15-minute chart, right? And this was just setting up a trade plan is what we were working on, right? So if this is going to be good practice, and for everybody else, this is a great lesson. All right. So we set up a TPS style trade with a risk reward of 3.5 to 1. That's this box right here. Okay. And we set that up right here, right, as this candle was starting to dip a little bit, right? Now, if you had taken it there, it would have been a 3.5 to 1. If you had waited a little bit into this low, right? I was watching it in this low. I was like, man, I would really like to get into that. You're looking at, almost what's it say? 12 to 1 risk reward, or reward to risk, right? 1 to 12. But as soon as you got a candle close that was below the stop level, if you had taken this at any one of those 2 points, which you could have, it definitely would have made sense, right? But as soon as we had a candle close down below that stop level, that would have been a stop out, right? And this is a $23 stock, so depending on how much you took, I mean, there'd probably be a $50 loss or something like that, right? But now we've broken down, right? We gapped up a little bit, but immediately sold off, and now we're selling lower. So in answer to your question, sure, there could be a recovery on KView, but if you're still in that, then you're not following the rules, right? And we talked about the rules being very important because now, let's say we got into that, right? And I'm guessing you're asking because you got into it. And what I love about, and I'm not picking on Fog, and I know they know that, because you have a growth mindset if you're willing to admit mistakes and ask for help, right? And so and ask for reasoning why. So I'm going to assume, Fog, and I'm sorry if I'm assuming wrong, but I'm going to use this as a lesson. I'm going to assume you're in it from yesterday at about this level, right? So if you're still in it, your risk reward now is under 1 to 1, right? And so now, even if this recovers and comes back up, you've thrown your profile of always having better than a 2-to-1 reward to risk, right? And you've thrown it out the window. So now if you cut this trade here, right, and then your next trade you do take, your risk profile is now skewed, right? And so we go back to the SPY here, right? I managed my risk well, right? So I took a shot, and shots are fine. I kept that to a 15% loss, right? And then here I hit and I managed my risk and I even moved my stop up and I made a 50%. So and then this one again this one here was 0 because I moved my stop up. But out of 3 trades, I'm still up 35% on the day, right? Because we're managing risk. We're letting winners run full and we're cutting losers quickly. Yeah, and listen, I love, and you do this a lot, Fog, is I love that you have an open mindset and a growth mindset to where you'll ask the question and and admit a mistake and try to learn from that. I think that's so cool, and that's the way you become profitable in this game, is having um, no level of embarrassment, right? Or just that sort of growth mindset. That's how you're going to learn. You got to make those mistakes. You got to hear that you made that mistake, and then you got to say, okay, now I understand what I have to do differently next time. Oscar, no, I don't always. I do on the sniper trades. Generally on like a TPS trade like this, and this will be easier for those of you who are watching. We set this trade up yesterday. Oh, I'm sorry. When the chart looked like this. Okay. And you can see how if we had taken it right there, the risk reward ratio would have been a 4 to 1, right? And it made sense as a trade. We set this up on the 15-minute chart. So we talked about a 15-minute candle close below our stop level would have meant the chart's broken down. And you can see it kind of bounced off of our stop level, our support, and then just went, right? And so if we're practicing good discipline, we need to be able to take off that trade where we set our stop. And it's a saying that I say a lot is, don't change your plan, don't change your stop, right? Review and change your plan for the next trade. So too many people will say, okay, this is my stop. All right, well, I'm through that. Let's see if we bounce. Oh, look, we're bouncing. This is amazing. We're bouncing. This is going to recover. I did let it go, but it's going to be back, right? And then, you wake up this morning, let's say, and you go, oh, look, we're gapping up. This is fantastic. Like, I'm saved from this trade. And then it immediately, sells off to there. And then you're like, okay, well, it's back to where it was, yesterday afternoon. Maybe I'm just going to leave it. I'm not going to cut it. It's going to bounce and I'm going to save myself. And then, okay, well, that's not a great candle for me. This thing looks, oh boy, and then you're down, 70, 80%. You're like, okay, maybe this thing's going to bounce. Like, I feel like I'm going to get about, oh, no, now it's just bleeding away. And now it's here, right? And now what was a 4-to-1 risk reward is less than 1-to-1. So, and sure, this may find support somewhere and bounce, and before 920, it might be back up, here. And you say, "Oh, great, the trade worked for me." Well, you did yourself a disservice, right? You did yourself a disservice because you put your rules in place and you didn't follow them. So on the next trade, as it goes against you, because you're going to have more trades that go against you, we all know that, right? The next trade that goes against you, you're going to say, "Well, remember that KView trade or KenView trade. I let it go and it came back because all trades come back." Well, do they? Right? Then you're just trading on hope, and you're letting your emotions and your mental capital get used up for, I don't know, how many days do you think that would probably take to bounce back up there? 3, 4, right? Where you could cut it here, take your small loss, right, and then use that mental capital somewhere else. Or if you really like KenView, cut it here, and then find another level that you might like to take a shot at and try it again. Then the move back up into here, you're going to make 50%, and here you would have lost 10%, right? You could even take another shot. Let's say you like KenView a lot. You could even take another shot and lose another 10%, and then find a level and take a shot and get your 50%, and then you're up 30% on the name, right? Versus waiting, hoping theta, everything's declining, and then it gets back up here and it's been, 6 days and you're not even break even yet because you've been just chewed up on theta the whole way. Right? So you'll hear from me a lot. Have a plan, right? Sorry, that's not the level. Have a plan and stick to it. And then if you're constantly getting stopped out, revise how you plan. Don't change your plan on don't change your trade parameters, your stops, your targets mid trade. You're going to be better off as a trader if you just say, "My rule was this, I cut it, I'm done. Now let me reevaluate if I had my stop level at the right kind of, I set it at the right place. Or was my target too extended? Was I too greedy? For the next trade, let me find a different level that might make a little bit more sense." But you're going to get good at following your rules. And that's the whole game. Learning to set up trades, learning to find setups, learning how to put on trades. That's the easy part. The hard part is learning to follow your rules and be emotionless, right? Be cold-hearted and just cut it. If it's winning, let's talk about the inverse side of this, okay? Real quick, so that it's not like, okay, well, I should cut all trades that aren't working. Well, sure, yeah, I think so. And I still to this day work on that because I have traded out of some bad trades. And in most cases, I've earned the right to do that because I understand, the risk and I understand the levels below it. But I still have to, sometimes, I was saying this yesterday, I still have to remember that if I don't follow my rules, I'm teaching myself bad habits, right? So the reverse of that is, we have, let me get my risk reward back on here, right? Here's my risk reward. Okay, so it was, 4-1 roughly, right? So let's say this trade, comes down here and then finds a little support and then starts working its way back up here. It comes off of there. It comes back down to your point of control. And at this level, you're like, oh, it's rolling. It's finding resistance. Oh crap! This thing's going to turn on me. I want to protect myself. I think it's probably just going to do that, and then it's becoming a losing trade. And right now, I have, I'm up 10%. God, I should take that off, right? And then you take it off, and you feel good because you had a winning trade. right? Well, then what's your risk profile? What's your profit loss, right? If you keep doing that on other trades, right? Because you're scared, then you're really at a 1-to-1. And most likely, if you're the kind of person that takes that trade off way too early because it's profitable and you're scared, you're also the person that when that trade goes against you, you start to hope, right? This is fear and this is hope, right? And what you really want to do is learn to reverse those, right? When the trade's going against you, you need fear and you need to cut it at a 10% loss. And when the trade is working in the right direction, you need hope that it's going to come up to that level, it's going to retrace back to that point of control, and then it's going to go and hit your target. Right? That is the hardest thing, in my opinion, in trading to do, is to reverse where you have hope and where you have fear. Nice, Tony. Does anybody have any questions on that concept? And that if you take things off early, you're shooting your profit loss and risk reward in the foot. And if you don't take things off when you plan to, you're doing the same thing, right? So then your equity, your P&L starts looking like, okay, let's say I let it go to here. I would have taken it off early. My loss would have been down here. So then really you're skewing your profit and loss because you're doing the opposite two things. You're taking it off early and you're letting losers go, when what you should do is taking losers off early and letting winners run. And Cavi, most new traders do this. And that's why so many struggle to be profitable. Most new traders do this. And the hardest thing to do is learn, in my opinion, to cut trades early that are not working at whatever level you think the chart is breaking down. Yes, I did record this. Yep. And I'll post it up. And in fact, I think, yeah, it's 9. I was set for half an hour. But we are rolling into lunch, so I can answer a few more questions before I jump off, because it'll be the lunch hour. Nobody will be on mic. So everybody kind of, yeah, Oscar, that's a great question. Like, what time frame to make your plan? Like, how do you know? Well, it's whatever time frame. So on a TPS style setup, it's whatever time frame you're playing the squeeze in, right? So in this case, I was playing, or I was setting up a trade in the 15-minute time frame on KView. Okay, on Kava, we were playing the 78-minute. I think we were in the 30-minute, right? And the 30-minute is still fairly valid. But we were playing this little piece here in a much larger pattern. Here, that's a beautiful pattern, right? And we were playing it off of this level here, and our risk reward is almost 4-to-1 there, right? So there's you, for the TPS method, you want to play the chart that has the trend pattern and squeeze on it, and you always want to play to the largest squeeze that you have available to you. So that's kind of how you switch back and forth. Nate's got Kava on watch at the moment. Which ones are you looking at? 913s? Oh, 120s. Oh, you gotta just up me by one, huh? That's cool. All right, so Nate's looking at the one. I'll put those on there. 122. Whoops. 122 calls. They're not at 210. What are they? Let's see here. Oh, he's playing a little out of the money at probably 130. Let's just say 140. Right? Cava looks great here. What's my drawing tool? This is all everything I'm doing in here is trading view. All these lines, all these boxes, all that, and then if I'm circling something, that's Epic Pin. Those are the drawing tools that I'm using. Yeah, everything else is trading view though, and you can also use trading view for stuff like that. It's just a little bit more flexible. Epic Pen, you can delete all your drawings really quickly by hitting that garbage can. I think the mid-tier subscription of TradingView is what I like to recommend. It because we in this room we use at least 5 indicators, right? We use the TTM squeeze, we use volume profile, we have the VWAP, we have the 21 and the 34. I don't put the 8 on my charts. Nate uses the 55 instead of the 34. And that's at least you can buy some stacked EMAs, but that's still 3, 4. That's still 4 indicators. Yeah, for this is I can share this one. This is my TTM and VP chart. Remember, you have to sell it. You have to save it. This is a TPS style chart. And then I've saved this one before. Ah, man. Look at that. That would have been a great, kind of triggered late. I probably would have tried to play this VWAP bounce. And of course that would have worked, but I was teaching. So let's see here. See if we're coming into any levels on the SPY that might be. I mean, just had. And what's been happening is we've just had big selling. Look, on the SPY. We've had was the third day of big selling followed by a rip. Big selling followed by a rip. Big selling followed by a rip. So I wonder if we're going to come back up and test this level up here. I could see that VP level there. I could see something like that if buying still comes in. But look at this swing, right? We're almost. We've come up past the 618 retracement. Pretty interesting. Okay, that's it. That's it for me. Does anybody have any final questions before I jump off? Yeah, and back to this trade plan thought just before I jump off really quick, and learning that you want to cut a trade that's not working. Right, this reversing this fear and hope parameter. This we don't want a losing trade to be trading on hope, and we don't want to cut a winning trade based on fear. This is a lesson that so many of us have to learn and hear, and make the mistake over and over and over again before we're able to switch these, right? And the only way to do that is to be in a room with like-minded traders and mentors that are going to say, like when Fogg said, what should we do here with Kenview? And I can say, well, if you didn't cut it up here, if you were in it, then you've flipped your risk reward parameters, right? And your P&L to the reverse of what's going to make you profitable, right? And hearing that, having the foresight to ask that question, and hearing that enough times, you can start to make that switch. But if you're sitting at home in front of your trading computer and you're making that mistake over and over again, and you don't have somebody saying, look at what you're doing, right? Notice I didn't call him an idiot. I didn't say, well, you're dumb for this. I said, look at what you're doing and see where you can make changes, because we all have to learn that. And that's why so many people struggle. And there's no other place where you're going to get to be able to ask those questions and have Nate or D-Man or myself look at the trade that you're in and give you feedback on it, right? And that's really the way to learn, is to be able to say, I took this trade, this is what's happening, these were my parameters. Not what should I do? We're not here to tell you what to do, right? Every trade has to be your own. We can't give you advice on what to do with your trade, but we can look in hindsight and say, this is where you potentially could have done something different, and learn to flip this sort of fear and hope situation, so that you're hopeful and happy when you're winning, and you're fearful and cutting early when you're losing, based on your plan. Right? And Fogg, I say that I appreciate that you do this, and you do this regularly. You will ask a pointed question, and you will take that feedback as a positive thing versus a negative thing, right? And I love that. I think that's amazing. And being in a room like this with like-minded traders is sort of the only place that you can do it, that I know of, and that's what I found, and that's how I learned. So I highly recommend that if you have the means and you want to do this on a day-to-day basis, you jump in and you jump in with us and start next week. Well, I mean, you're starting this week, but start next week. There's the $200 off right now running for today, I think, probably today and tomorrow, with a discount code of Big Profits 200. So, all right, it is lunchtime, so I'm going to jump off. I'm going to put Nate's screen back up. However, the off mic sign will be up. I think it's D-Man next. And I'm on for another half hour a little bit later as well, and then Nate's on again at the end of the day. I haven't looked exactly at the schedule, so but we'll be in chat and everything else, and I will talk to everyone later.